Just going to be answering fantasy football questions, off-season stuff, man. Really light. Just some things I've noticed from drafts, some things just in general, football-wise. So whatever you got, send it my way, all right? One of the questions that first came in that I wanted to answer was, what's the best spot to draft in a 10-team league? And I actually just did, I'll be posting it a little bit later today. I just did an ESPN 10-team mock draft, a standard league. But I think the best spot for me, I've found, is like the middle of the draft, right? Because now we're getting value on some of the players. And I think in a 10-team league, if you could secure the top talent early, so like picks 1 through 3 are really good. But I think you can find a lot of value in that like 4 through 6 range. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Like whatever draft spot you get is the draft spot you get, right? Like that's really what it comes down to. It's take advantage of your 1 spot or your 10 spot or whatever. But I think when you're in a 10-team league draft, you have to kind of know, okay, like I'm not going to get an elite player. Let me load up on like the Saquons, the Jonathan Taylors, the the guys with the higher upside, the AJ Browns, the Amon-Ra St. Browns. There's room for that. So I think draft spot doesn't really matter a whole lot, because what matters more so is like your in-season management, what you do transaction-wise, all right? But you get what I'm saying? Like that's what matters the most, y'all. What's good, Jacob? What's good? He said, I saw your videos, but still torn. Say you have to pick from one of each, Diggs or Nico, Moore or Keenan. So this is good too, right? Like obviously, guys, this is a tough call. This is a tough one because you got to pick between Diggs and Nico, both of whom I think are like 1A, 1B. I really don't see a big difference between Diggs and Nico this year. I think Diggs will probably be more consistent. Nico will be a little bit more inconsistent, right? We saw that last year. Nico was good, but he was inconsistent as far as like being the stud on the team, especially when Tank Dell was healthy. It would fluctuate, right? So I think that's going to happen again with Nico Collins' value. I actually have him lower than Stefon Diggs, who I think is going to be a little safer in a contract year, playing to kind of get his name back, right? We've been talking a lot about Stefon Diggs here over these last couple seasons, right? Playing really well early on and then fading. He's been a top 10 receiver both of those years. So we're just expecting more, and he's not providing it like as the season goes on. I think this is a big prove of year. So I'd rather have Diggs than Nico, even at whatever ADP. I'm taking Stefon Diggs. And then when it comes to DJ Moore versus Keenan Allen, I think you're getting 2 different types of receivers. It's a very similar thing. You're going with a little bit older, a little bit more fragile Keenan Allen, the safer, right? A safety valve for a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams. Probably going to be playing a lot out the slot. And then you get DJ Moore, who's just explosive, a little bit more inconsistent, right? DJ Moore is just going to be a little bit more inconsistent than a guy like Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's the floor play. DJ is the upside play. The thing is, you got to take DJ Moore in the top 15 receivers. Keenan's going like in the bottom outside of the top 25. So I think when it comes to like where the value is at Keenan, 1,000%. And then the upside is with DJ Moore. I'm not going to take DJ Moore because you got A, rookie quarterback. B, you got 2 receivers now, Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze, who can hold their own. You also got DeAndre Swift in the passing game. It's just, I don't really see it. I can see maybe 1,000 yards, 1,000, 1,100 yards, maybe somewhere like DJ Moore wasn't really a touchdown guy before Justin Fields. Remember that. In Carolina, he was like 4 touchdowns, 6 like it wasn't a whole lot of touchdowns for DJ Moore like we saw last year. So I'd be careful with DJ Moore. I would go Keenan at the value. JSC was good, my dude. Was good. He said Patrick Mahomes or CJ Stroud. Really good question here. And I think we have, kind of the GOAT, the safe play. Patrick Mahomes, easy, right? Like it's an easy choice with Patrick Mahomes. He's just safe. We know he's probably going to be somewhere around the top 5, top 3. Like just he always finds a way. Last season was like the first season we really seen him like struggle since he's kind of came out. And a lot of it was due to the relationship with Travis Kelce. Obviously, they weren't connecting at the same level they had. The receiver play wasn't very good. And so until later in the year when Rashee Rice kind of broke out. So what are we going to get out of Patrick Mahomes is the big question. And I think everybody's just locking him into like these top 5 spot because he's so safe. And there's talks this offseason that they're going to want to involve the long passing game, deep passing game a little bit more. That's why you go get a Marquise Brown. That's why you go get Xavier Worthy. That's why you get some of the weapons that you do, so you can throw the ball downfield again like you used to when Mahomes was playing at his best. But I kind of think these are two similar players, him and CJ Stroud. And it's like the things that we're asking that we want to see out of Mahomes, we're already seeing out of CJ Stroud. Plus, you just went and got Stefon Diggs. Plus, you got Joe Mixon. So I think CJ is going to be a very safe player as well. Okay. And I think that I would rather take CJ Stroud just based on ADP right now. Like, you got to take Mahomes 2-3 quarterback spots earlier, depending on where you're drafting. I'd rather have CJ Stroud at the value. So if I can get CJ Stroud outside of the top 5, maybe even 6 quarterbacks, yes, I'm taking Stroud. Only thing is he has such good name value right now. Everybody loves CJ Stroud. I go with Diggs over Nico, not touching the Bears receivers this year. But I think to start it would be Keenan, then eventually Rome would be the number 1. Yeah. So Keenan is also in a contract year this year. They can get rid of him at the end of this year. I think that's probably what will happen. Groom up Rome, get him on track. And then when he's established and ready to go, you get him in there as probably the wide receiver 1. You're right. In about 2-3 years, he's going to pass DJ Moore as the wide receiver 1, probably as soon as next year. So I get it 100%. And then, yes, I'm with Diggs. I'm Diggs over Nico right now, too. I prefer DJ Moore when I can get him in round 6. He was the guy with Fields. This is JSC. You make a really good point. This is going to be the big focal point for at least what I talk about this whole offseason. This entire offseason, this is the point. Value, right? Like, DJ Moore had upside when he was being taken in the 6th round. You could get him as a wide receiver 3. He hadn't peaked yet. So you could get 1,200 yards and 5 touchdowns at a pretty reasonable cost. It's like, now you got to take DJ Moore in the top 3 rounds when you got players like, Deebo Samuel, you got Diggs, you got like elite level receivers going in the same range. Could DJ Moore repeat? Absolutely he could. But is he on the same level as receiver as some of the guys that are going around him or even after him? That's where I have my issues. Like, before last season, before Justin Fields was his quarterback, there was no chance in hell we were taking DJ Moore over a guy like DK Metcalf, who's now in the middle, the back end to high end wide receiver 2-3 spot. Like, that's where he's at now. He's in the 25 range when it comes to receivers, which is crazy. Crazy, right? Last year we're taking Devontae Smith, Waddle, T. Higgins well over a guy like DJ Moore, who was going as like a back end wide receiver 2. Now he outperformed that, so we have to adjust. But there's new weapons there. So value is everything. Is he the same value that he was in previous seasons? Absolutely not. You're taking him at the ceiling now. He finishes the top 10 receiver. He's going just outside the top 10 receivers. Value is everything, especially when it comes to guys who have just played in a really good, like an elite level season. Kyron is going to be another example. Puka Nacua is going to be another example. You're paying for the ceiling now, unfortunately. So good. Very good point there. Preferred player, like, a lot of people think I fade players. You fade values, man. Fade values. Dynasty Superflex. Jonathan, what's good, bro? He said, Dynasty Superflex, what are we doing with JMO? Are we holding? Are we trying to trade? I think it's easy to get excited about what Dan Campbell mentioned as one of the more improved players this offseason, a bigger role. I want to pull up the exact quote from Dan Campbell about Jameson Williams, because he's been talking very highly of him this offseason, and it makes, a lot of times there's coach speak, but Dan Campbell has been saying a lot, right? So here is, let's pull up the Twitter page. Pull up the Twitter page real quick. Here's a direct quote from Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, Lions head coach Dan Campbell, recently said this about Jameson Williams. JMO is that guy right now. He is a man on a mission, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Here's a look at what he's been doing. So now we get this clip of Jameson Williams mossing a defender deep downfield. And it's like, he was a former first-round talent. We knew he was coming off of the ACL initially. And if he really came out and is destined to have a good season, I'd be all over drafting a guy like Jameson Williams. And in Superflex, you hold that kind of player. You hold it until you see you're getting these kind of reports. Unless you think you're not getting that out of Jameson Williams this season, you hold a player like that, or you trade for a player like that. A lot of times it can be coach speak. I hear you, right? Like, that's typically what we get at this time of year. But if there's any truth to these rumors, and if the Lions want to get better, they're going to need somebody to complement what St. Brown and Laporta are doing downfield. Laporta, St. Brown, Gibbs, this is all short field stuff. And if Jameson Williams has developed his route tree and become a more consistent receiver, that makes the Lions scary this season. So hold Jameson Williams, treat him as a wide receiver 3 flex for now, and enjoy the value if things change during this season. All right. I'm not trading Jameson Williams. Put it that way. Like if I have him in Superflex, unless I'm getting a lot more than his value, right? If I'm getting like way more than I really expected, if I'm getting wide receiver 2 value, like top 20 receiver in Dynasty, what's the point of trading him? You're trading away the upside. He was a first round pick. The team loves him. They went to go get him. Let's see how this plays out. He's got incredible speed, one of the faster players in the NFL. Wait to see. It's only year 3 for him. It's only year 3. And the first year was a year where he was coming off of the injury. The same excitement I would have about a George Pickens. Why wouldn't you have that for a Jameson Williams, even though he's probably 3rd in line for like, let's see that shit play out before we really start to be like, I got to move him or trade the value.